Welcome back. Welcome back, YouTube land, and all of the visitors that are out here in the audience. Thank you so much for joining us back in the Did You Know studio here in the city of Adam. Tonight, let's talk about it. We have a guest here. She's the founder of the Divine Relationship Coaching, where she's dedicated to helping couples and individuals build stronger and deeper connections. Her passion and commitment to strengthening couples' relationships stems from her beliefs that marriage serves as a foundation for building strong communities, fostering cultural awareness, and promoting personal growth. Everyone, please welcome my friend, Skylar Divine.
Hello, everybody. Woo.
Hey.
Oh, wow, this is wonderful. And thank you for having me, Amina. I am
Of
so
course.
excited to be here tonight. I really
Of
am. Thank
course,
you.
Skylar. Of course. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Right.
Some of us have been dubbed aunties around this space.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that we need to speak. We need
Yes,
to get our voices out there to help the younger generation and just, speak positive vibes and stuff to them. So, of
I
course, I
agree.
will have you here.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
but listen, hey, ain't no nothing different. I start my show the same way every time. I want to know, who are you?
Who am I? My name is Skylar Divine, and I am a relationship coach. I have been in this space now for about it's going on 3 years. Come December, this December will be 3 years. I came into this metaverse space by accident. I got the Oculus for my husband for a birthday gift, and I thought that we would kind of use it together for exercise and so on and so forth. And then I came across Horizon Worlds and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Cartoonish, but cool. You could interact with different people. And I enjoyed flying around. And, that was kind of the reason why we got these Oculus because to do these fantastical things. And surprisingly enough, I came in here and I met you. I met you in one of the worlds. I think it was in the Anthem, and you were just so sweet and open, and you said, Skylar, let me show you around. And I said, oh,
Oh.
okay, okay.
Well, that sounds about right if you were in
Yeah.
the city of Adam.
And you were so sweet, and you showed me City of Adam, and you showed me other places that were kind of popular, and I kind of got my feet wet and got my wings going in the area, and I kind of really enjoyed the space. Fast forward a little bit, you had a talk show. And I wanted to, of course, I was at one of your first shows, and you had a gentleman there by the name of Meta Coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so inspired. I was truly inspired by what he was doing and what you were doing. And I said, wow, I could really cultivate this type of environment in my own space. My husband and I have led the marriage ministry at that time about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we understood the biblical principles to marriage and strengthening couples, but there was always a missing component for me was these how-to steps.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of trying to figure that out. But again, long story short, when I saw Meta Coach in you, I said, well, you know what? I think I can cultivate this type of and a business at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Well,
studied. Hmm.
well, that listen at that come full circle. I mean, because this is the same show, just in
The
a
same
different.
show.
It is. It's just in a
Yeah.
different venue now, and of course, the studio looks different. But
Hmm.
look at that! Look at
Look
that
at that.
connection, and now you're sitting in the seat talking about yourself and what you're doing in this space. That is
Yes.
amazing
I would have
for a time
never,
like that.
never imagined. I would have never imagined. And
Also,
it's been
um,
awesome. I mean, because I understood that this is something that could really work in this space.
right.
So I'm loving it. I'm loving the journey. It's been great. It's been wonderful.
You also kind of sound like me. I got my headset. Didn't know that this was even a possibility. got my headset just to work out. Well, that's what I told myself.
Right,
Is that I
right.
got my headset, oh, I'm gonna do fitness. This is gonna be it. Man, I found Horizon Worlds
I know. I
and I
know.
haven't talked about working out since. But
Yeah. I love it. And it's funny. There's a lot that we can do in these Oculus. I mean, we can
right.
sit back and watch movies. The social aspect is phenomenal. I mean, I think what really excited me was having such a diverse group of people all in
Mhm.
one space. Like you wouldn't be able to get this in the real world. There's
Mhm.
no way that I would have met such a wonderful group of people, cultivated relationships as quickly as I did
Mhm.
here in the real world.
Mhm.
And again, when I say the diverse group, I mean we're talking about all ages, all
Mhm.
backgrounds. So it's a really good space, and I realized very quickly how this could be beneficial for me moving forward as well as other people. I
Mhm.
did, yeah, yeah.
I understand that.
Hmm.
That's the mindset to have too. So you mentioned about coach's show really kind of sparked what your mission would be in this space. Is tell us about how did that dream come alive for you?
Exactly. Well, I would sit in on coach's sessions all the time, and I watched how he would work with people, just having open dialogue, open conversations. And again, taking that same cue in my real world in marriage ministry, I said I can really cultivate that, but as a coach, really bringing my skill set of strengthening relationship through tools and skills and understanding. I could do it in like a three tier. One is just
Mhm.
open conversation, like we do. We come in this space, we sit down, we share our knowledge with people, but then we need to be able to take it a step further, and be able to come in a space where we can have workshops and have group sessions and just go dive in a little bit deeper and have deeper meanings and connections with people to understand what their issues are in their relationships and how we can support each other, and also giving them the tools. And then there's the one-on-one. There's a
Mhm.
one-on-one that we have in our counseling sessions,
Mhm.
and in those sessions we go is very tailored to individual needs. Uh,
Mhm.
the space that I've created is a safe space for people to come in and be able
Mhm.
to have conversations again. And depending on what their issues are, we put like-minded people together because sometimes we feed off of each other.
Yeah.
As a coach, we're here to really guide people through their process of being able to have whole and healthy relationships. So, versus a counselor, where we
Mhm.
kind of counselors kind of, which is they're definitely necessary. Don't get me wrong, I would never say that, but counselors kind of look at their past and why people are where they are. Where a coach kind of looks at your issues that you're having today and steps to move forward in the future. Um,
I'm glad that you said that because I was gonna ask, we
mhm,
normally hear all the time counselors, therapists, and
right.
I think that is new that we've begun to start hear the terminology of coaching.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so if you could just explain again, kind of briefly, what's the difference between a counselor and a coach, and is
Sure.
counselor synonymous with a therapist?
Um, you know, without getting technical between a therapist and a counselor, their level of knowledge, depending on what type of issues that are at hand. Let's say, for example, if we're talking with someone who's dealing with trauma that they've dealt with in the past, that trauma shows up today and how they respond to a thinking pattern and how they move and interact with other people based off their thinking. So there's a healing that needs to take place, that understanding the why behind the issues that they're dealing with. Well, that's what counselors and therapists are trained to do, and it's very necessary for people to understand how their past has shown up in their future, how they think today. So,
Mhm.
and it takes a lot of skill, understanding, patience, and time for counselor, therapist, and patient to really get to that place of understanding. Where a coach is more so, hey, listen, I see an issue. These issues more often than not can be dealt with if we take these skills, sets, and tools and implement them moving forward. What is your
Mm-hmm.
goal? What is it that you need to do? How do you want to show up in your relationship? What issues are you having? I mean, and there's a melee of issues in relationships, but coaches kind of give tools and a roadmap on how to move forward.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. So I'm sure with having those type of conversations with all types of individuals with their issues,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you hear a lot about the different challenges that they face. What are some of the
Yeah.
challenges that you hear
Right. Right.
recurring over and over? Like, can you?
Well,
Well, let me first ask: can you share that?
Well, I wouldn't divulge any of
Okay.
my clients that I'm dealing with right now,
Mhm.
any of their information, and that's very important in this space that people know that they can come and share their stories with me or if anyone else that may be on my team and know that that's where it's staying. It's not going
Mhm.
further than that. Even in our group counseling, it's very important that we have a mindset in people that they understand that what we share in these spaces are confidential.
Mhm.
But today's couples, they are really faced with and charged with a lot of different issues. And so depending on what the issues are, I'm sorry, I forgot the question just that fast. What did you say?
I said, with you, talking with so many different people and
Hmm.
stuff all the time, you hear all of the different challenges that they're
Yes,
experiencing. Are you
absolutely.
hearing some recurring issues that is like,
Absolutely.
okay, yeah.
Absolutely. One of the biggest issues that couples have, and this is across the board, it's across the board, culturally, age wise, and so on and so forth. And one of the biggest problems that we're having right now is effective communication.
Mhm.
I did a small survey, and it was a survey of men and survey of women, and we said, hey, here are ten items that are listed. Tell me what your top three are. Actually, it was top five. Give me your top five issues. There were three items that both men and women agreed on, and communication was one. Is huge. Understanding how to effectively communicate with one another. The other area that I was really surprised to find out is that this digital era of social media is really causing havoc in people's relationship. It's
Mhm.
breaking trust and boundaries. So understanding how that new phenomena in modern day is impacting our relationships. That was something that was number two that both men and women agreed upon. And the third, again, going back into social media, not solely social media, but it's that old adage, the grass is greener on the other side, and
Mhm.
having unrealistic expectations within your own relationship.
Mhm.
Understanding what those lines look like. Some people are comparing their relationships to what they see on social media. They're comparing their relationships to what their friend may have, and they're living outside of their own expectations or what their relationship can give them at that time. So working through those issues is pretty important because couples, because of lack of communication, sometimes they're not effectively expressing to one another what they're looking for. And if it's not there right then and there in the beginning of their relationship, are we working towards that? So if we can't communicate, we're having our own fantastical ideas of what a relationship looks like. How are we going to move forward? So
Mhm.
we break these issues down little bit by little bit, and we work through a process. Again,
Okay.
working on the issue, not this is three parts. There's three parts. Is your
Mhm.
issue, it's my issue, and then it's the issue. Let's look at the issue. It's not you, it's not me, it's the issue that we're trying to combat here.
And as the coach and as the therapist or counselor, that's
Hmm.
the mediation that helps bring the resolve to the issue. I
It
love it.
That's exactly. But again,
Okay.
as a coach, we're taking two willing partners. we're saying, okay, we both agree that this is an issue that needs to be dealt with. Here are some tools, techniques to move forward. And that's
Mhm.
how we move forward. We kind of dive into past how we got here, but if we're able to look at this situation in a healthy way, let's move forward. Let's move forward,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
trust the process. You have to trust the process. It doesn't happen overnight. We didn't get here overnight. It's not going to resolve itself overnight.
So you mentioned just a few minutes ago about social media
Hmm.
and how it affects relationships. Let's just take here in the metaverse.
Hmm.
The whole metaboo relationships or just relationships forming.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
your views on that?
I love it. I think it is so interesting that where you may be a shy person and you're in the real world and you don't feel comfortable going out into, your local, I don't want to say bar, but nightclub or whatever it may be.
Mhm.
You may be socially awkward and you may feel uncomfortable. And then we don't know, there are so many different reasons why people don't feel comfortable going out in the real world. But in here, it's so easy to meet people, and you can kind of come in here in the comforts of your own home and have an array of people that you can meet and talk with. Well, that's great. That's
Mhm.
great. So now my social skill is a little bit better because I can come in this avatar, but I'm talking to a real person. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm. I do.
So, but there are challenges to that. In the real
Right.
world, I can see your body language. I can see how you're interacting with me. I can see, how you treat me, but how are you treating the wait staff? Like there's so many different social cues that you can see just by observation. And here is a little bit different. It's much different. You have to be more in tune in within yourself to be able to identify how other people are responding and acting and so on and so forth. So I'm actually in the process. Very soon, we're going to sit down and we're going to have some focus groups just on metaboos and what has worked and what hasn't worked. You still have to set up your boundaries. You still have to have your expectations, still getting to know. Some people feel long-term relationships in this space of an avatar
Mhm.
is working for them, while other people say, hey, it's a progression, and then we meet outside of these avatars. So really trying to understand that is going to be interesting.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, Miss Coach, tell us,
Hmm.
how are you and your coaching, um, how will it help couples stay together? And not only stay together, but thrive, be successful, want to be in each other's presence.
Right,
How you,
right.
what you gonna do?
What you
What you gonna do?
what you gonna do for
What
them,
you
right?
gonna say? Yes.
Right. Well, again, helping couples to define who they are first.
Yeah.
One of the questions I had someone asked me recently was the traditional idea of marriage is still relatable, and
Mhm.
and I say, while the idea of marriage is may not resonate the same as did before, I think most young couples really do like the idea of having that one person um, side by side with them. And again, the challenges that we're facing now in the economic space, um, having a committed partner would make a lot of sense. And so yeah, Mina, I forgot the question that fast. My mind went on something else, and
No,
now I'm coming back.
you
Right,
did fine. You
right.
did fine.
Hmm.
I asked, but if you want me to ask you again, so if you want to pick up anything else, we were
No,
talking
no, no, no,
about.
no. Go
Okay,
ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, about
Hmm.
thriving. What are you gonna do to help them thrive and look for the ways to stick it out?
Yeah. Well, first, one of the things I always do, I encourage couples to prioritize open and honest communications. To start. And that is really important that we establish that first amongst young people, because understanding emotionally how you show up in a relationship, being able to be authentically yourself, and feel comfortable in that space really starts the trajectory of a healthy relationship. If I can't show up authentically me and I put on a mask, we're not going to be able to see each other for who we
Mhm.
really are, because these ideas that we put together, that I have to look a certain way, talk a certain way, show up a certain way, do this for, and that's not authentically who you are. What happens is that only lasts for a short while, and then the real you show up. You know,
Mhm.
and believe it or not, one of the things I tried to get young couples to understand, that there's stages in a relationship. You know, when you first meet in a relationship, everybody is all lovey-dovey. They find themselves in this space of euphoria, and you know, the little things that would bother me don't bother me now.
The
Oh, you know,
honeymoon
he's always
phase.
calling me. Well, those little things before, where, oh, she picks up after me or he picks up after me, turns into nagging later on. You
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So because we start to establish presence in a relationship. Who am I? Who are you? Or am I losing my my character in this relationship? Am I losing who I am in this relationship? And you start to try to figure it out, and that's common. That's common. Most relationships go through this space of trying to understand how we fit together. Where we get stuck is not being able to move beyond that, and that's where the coaching session comes in. You're having an issue because, you know, he is throwing his socks on the floor, or she is not willing to um uh I don't know, whatever the situation may be. Well,
Mhm.
how, let's sit down and talk about it and come to a common goal, and we work on those. We give couples tools to be able to come to an amenable agreement, okay, and
Mhm.
hear each other. Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay, that was good,
Good.
Skylar.
Good. I'm
That was
glad.
good. Yeah. So moving on, because we talked earlier about marriage and how society views it. But in the is there a ripple effect, or what is the ripple effect
Ooh,
of a
ooh.
healthy marriage and the
S-
children's development and their values?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I'm actually looking for my note on that, because there were a couple things that I really wanted to make sure that I spoke about. So give me a second.
Please take all the time.
Mhm.
Take all the time. Take all the time. YouTube, thank you so much for joining. Hey, everybody in here. Thank y'all so much.
Hey guys, how's it going? Okay. So, in marriage, family. Marriage is truly one of the foundations that we have. It's the foundation of our society.
Mm,
Okay. And several key factors that go into marriage, not just being in a committed relationship, which is perfectly fine. Sometimes a committed relationship can be just as effective as marriage. So I want to make that perfectly clear. I mean, everybody's idea of marriage may not be the same, but what we all want at the end is a thriving, committed, hopefully long-term relationship. um and what marriage, I'm going to speak on marriage because that's what we practice, is having, is stable, a stable structure in the community. um it also strengthens the social ties. Economically, you're better together. You bring those resources together. um it also has a significant impact on your children when couples come together as married. One of the effects that I really wanted to mention is the social and economic conditions in marriage. um, First of all, you have more income. When you have more income, you have a better education. When you have better education, you can get a better job. When you have a better job, your social status and access to resources are more available to you as well. So,
mm-hmm.
and if you take all of those pieces and you kind of put them together, you can see the benefits of coming together in marriage. Okay. But the other piece that I wanted to mention were the children. Our children grow up more grounded, more secure, understanding what a model looks like in marriage, and they duplicate that in the real in their lives. And we're
Mhm.
talking about legacy here. So making the decision of one, picking the right partner, understanding who you are, picking the right partner that is going to affect the rest of your life, also affects your children's lives, also affects the community, also affects legacy.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a huge impact. It's a huge impact.
A huge
Mm-hmm.
powerful ripple effect
Mm.
if the marriage is strong, if the marriage is healthy. You
Yes.
can see, yeah, uh,
Yeah.
those children becoming productive citizens and that
Mm-hmm.
rolling down into their generation. So, yeah,
Yes. And there's
great.
there's an emotional support that we human beings need. We need, that's one of the reasons why we look for a mate. We look for someone to spend the rest of our days with. It's because your spouse is the closest person that is probably ever going to be to you. Okay, even more so than your children, and that dynamic lasts for 16, 18 years, and then they're off doing their own thing. But your significant other is the one that is going to see you through things. They're going to see the real you. And so having that emotional security with someone else gives you um gives you a better quality of life as well. So there's a lot of benefits with marriage. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think you touched on this a little bit earlier. Do you feel that with the different generations that are out now, the mid 20s, do you feel that they view marriage the same as the older generations do?
Again, I think the roles are different for sure. The needs are different. I believe in our parents' day, there were definite men roles and women roles. Those lines are completely blurred now.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's still some thinking that you know women do this and men do that. And again, there's nothing wrong with some of these traditional roles, because someone has to do them, right?
Mhm.
But now we're in a place now where, for example, finances used to always be an issue for women. Your mom told you find a man with a good job and this, that, and other thing, and that was such a factor. Well, women are making just as much money as men are these days, and that's wonderful. Um so they're away from home, but the house still needs to be clean. So those roles that traditionally a woman might do, now we have to come together and figure out how are we going to get this done, because now I'm out in the workforce as well. In meeting in the dating world, um, obviously, career driven is someone who's career driven is important. How much they bring to the table financially is important, but it's not always the driving factor anymore, because we women are making as much money as men.
Mhm.
So what we're saying is, who are you? How do you show up? Are we compatible as human beings? Do we connect? Do we fit? And now men are now having to look at themselves a little bit deeper now, and that's good. you know Men are having to look at themselves a little bit deeper and say, hey, what is it that I want in this relationship that upholds us other than just finance? Okay.
Mhm.
Same thing with women. They're saying my worth is not just, I mean, of course, looking attractive and keeping yourself together is always important, but it's more than just that. It's
Mhm.
more than just that. Women have careers and desires, and they may not be having children as early as they did before. So all of these rules and how we did what we did before now are just completely different. But that's okay, because now we need to come together and have these real conversations now, where we may not have had them before. We kind of like just went along and let things happen in the past.
Mhm.
But it's much different now. And so and that's what I love about this generation. Oh my God, I love this generation. They are so innovative. They are so open to what desires feel they have for themselves, and they're
Mhm.
able to show up in this space called family much different than the families did in the past. So I love this modern day relationship and how couples come together. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm. Okay. Um, but you do know that there was a shift in like, well, we make the reference about modern and tradition.
Hmm.
When do you think that happened and why?
When do I think it well, so okay, all right. So there's different facets that
Mhm.
come to mind. Okay. Culturally, um, there in the African American community, women have always worked in the home in some capacity. I think the difference now is that um, men and women are recognizing that one person just can't do it all. It's just, and I think that's the advantage of technology that we have right now. That piece that we talk about, self-awareness. I
Mhm.
think men and women are recognizing their own limitations and boundaries, and what's okay for me may not be okay with you. And so I think with the advantage of technology coming through, I think people are much more educated and wise to their own worth, emotions, how they're going to decide to move forward in life. So
Mhm.
probably, I really think probably in the late 90s,
Mhm.
2000s, it really started to change,
Mhm.
you know,
Okay.
and because there's so much information out there now. There's so many different choices now. In the 80s, in the 90s, yeah, there was social media, but it wasn't as much information and people having to make choices. And it is the upside and the downside to that. The
Mhm.
upside is that I do recognize that I have choices. I just don't have to pick one way of living. But the downside is there's not a lot of education out there, especially if you're coming in from a single home, of how to maneuver emotionally through this new thing called social media, and everything being at your fingertips. So there's a learning curve. There's a learning curve that I'm really understanding people need to start start to look at, and that's where coaches come in. We kind of
Mhm.
balance that way of perspective. How are you looking at life? How is this impacting you? Let's try to make it make sense to you by coming into your own level of understanding.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, while we're talking about that generation,
Hmm.
and they should be all in around in their mid-20s.
Hmm.
Um, how do you help them understand about that they need to lay a strong foundation before they jump into these relationships? If they want it to last, how do you help them understand that?
We go through an exercise of understanding, who are you? Who do you want to be in this space? What does success look like to you? What does success look like in a relationship? What does success look like if you decide that you want parenting? If you want to be a parent? What does a career look like for you? How are your
Mhm.
friends? How do you see yourself in and around your friends? Who's your social circle? Okay? And you really start looking at not only those questions here and now, you start looking at it long term, and you start building towards that for yourself first. Because if you know
Mhm.
who you are, you know what challenges you have from your past into where we are now, you kind of build this world that you want to create. And when you
Mhm.
have the foundation and know who you are, now when you bring all of who you are into a relationship, you're not knocked and swayed as easily. I think a lot of
Mhm.
times when you're young, um we were, you know, our path was set for us. You grow up, you go to school, then you graduate from high school, then you go into college, you get a job, you meet somebody, you have kids, and by age 30, you're in this path of marriage. um People don't necessarily think that way now.
Mhm.
They're all different types of relationships. There's all different types of sexuality. There's all different types of how we may view what a healthy relationship looks like for them. Some people may not take the road of marriage, but they're okay in taking a committed relationship. And are you working? Are you with someone who has those same beliefs? You know, and if they don't, what's the impact, and being fully aware what's the impact, and having these conversations. I'm so excited. I haven't enacted it yet in my practice. I'm actually looking to do this by the beginning of the year, but there's a premarital assessment that I am now asking my couples to take
Mhm.
before they get married. And this assessment can also, they can also take this assessment while they're married, if they're already married, and it shows where their strong points and weak points are in their marriage. And we give them an assessment to say, hey, I think you need character building here. I think you may need to do this to strengthen your communication, your self-awareness, what else, your intimacy. So I can't wait to get into that piece, and being able to give that to couples, and say, hey, these are your strengths and these are your weaknesses. These are things that you need to build on. And the other piece that I like about that, we can also do that in a group session, because the couples will actually have their own personal assessment in front of them. So they won't necessarily have to have this broadcast in this group, but we can
Mhm.
speak in generalities. And if we need to work on something a little bit more, a little bit deeper, we can go into one-on-one sessions and try to strengthen that area.
Scholar, you're gonna be a powerhouse in here.
I hope so. I hope so. I wish that there was someone, and just like you said, auntie,
Mhm.
in my family, I'm the one that people come to, and we talk about relationships because I give real practical advice.
Mhm.
And I'm learning proven methods. There are some people in this space who really understand the scientific outlook on relationship and probabilities, and that's another area to look into. But I really think that this space, if there was someone who was able to sit down and talk with me at a young age, the 20s, the 30s, even 40s, and say, hey, maybe you should try this, or maybe you should look at it from this perspective, and just kind of give some insight on give nuggets about relationships. I think my life would have been so much different. It would have been
Mhm.
completely different. Therapy is relatively new to a lot of people, especially in the African American community.
You're
Therapy,
absolutely correct.
people didn't look at therapy
Mhm.
as a go-to. They kind of said, "Oh, something's wrong with me," and that's so far from the truth. It's really a strength when you say, "Hey, you know what? I don't know how to do this. You know,
Mhm.
I need help in this." It's
Mhm.
the one who just sits and laments over the same issues time in, time out, time in, picking the same type of people that's not serving them well, because they can't get over a fear or a something that is stopping them, that is blocking them. Sit down, have a conversation, and start applying the tools that that we give in this program. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
One thing that I think, and this is my personal opinion, that I think is going to help is just
Hmm.
the a verbiage change that you guys are already kind of doing. The coaching, when
Hmm.
people know that they're coming to get coached, is will feel, and sometimes I'm sure received it different than saying, "Oh, I'm going to my counselor," or "I got a therapy session." You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
a coach is more. It's not as heavy. It's not as heavy.
Mhm.
It can get very emotional. It can get heavy. It definitely is going to make you feel uncomfortable. But if you're
Mhm.
willing to move beyond that uncomfortability and start using the tools that are given, you'll realize that. you're making headway, you're making progress. And it's really not about just you and how you show up. You're showing up for your partner,
Mhm.
so that now we can see each other and work on these issues that are going to move us forward in our relationship. That's going to give us more intimacy within our relationship. What's going to make us more secure with each other. And listen, this generation has more information at their fingertips
Yes.
to create a life that is above what you can imagine financially, where they live, how everything is at their fingertips. All that is well, fine, and good, but if I can't express that to you, what
Mhm.
good is it? We can't even get to stage one of just building our relationship. So let's learn how to communicate with each other. Let's care about how you look at a thing or think about a thing and where you're going, and build it together and build it together. And we need to learn how to trust each other. And so there's
Mhm.
trust exercises, building exercises that we do, you know. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing stuff, Skylar. I'm looking
Mm,
forward to seeing
yes.
more of what you got,
Thank you.
and what you have planned here. I'm sure your skills will be utilized.
I
We
pray.
need strong people like you. You've been married for a while, I'm
Yeah.
sure, right?
I've been married now for 13 years. 13 years I've been married.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. And for those women who think that it's impossible to do it a second time around, I'm doing it a second time around.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And one of the things that I realized when I decided to end my first marriage, I was able to look back and say, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. Mind wise, I wasn't ready. And
Mhm.
this is not to put him in a bad light, but darn it, neither was he.
Mhm.
But we moved on in this thing called marriage, not understanding what it took. You understand what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But the fantastical things that we look at when we're kids, we picked out the wedding dress, we looked at the venue, we want to come in this shiny limousine, and we're going to have this great
Mhm.
party, and he has to make this kind of money, and I'm going to look this way, and have this amount of education, and all these things that are outside of ourselves. Yes, it builds what we want in our life, but we didn't take the time to say what we didn't want.
Mhm.
Okay. And we were
Mhm.
trying to fit these behaviors that weren't healthy into this lifestyle that it wasn't showing up. Okay.
Mhm.
So when I decided to end my first marriage, I took a lot of time and I worked on me. That's that self-awareness that I talk about. You know,
Mhm.
I moved forward more with the idea of what I wasn't going to allow in my relationship. That was more of a focus than what I did want. I can tell you what I wanted with my eyes closed. That was easy. But being able to be very aware of those red flags,
Mhm.
um, I was much more prepared to understand what that looked like. Okay. But I'm gonna give you a little secret too.
Tell us.
I said, how the heck am I going to start dating? I didn't know anything about dating. Like, what am I going to do here? How do I start dating all over again? So I took the the apps, the dating apps, and I used it as a tool. It wasn't
Mhm.
about, is this my husband? Is this my husband? Is this my no, 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 no. I said, you know what? I'm going to use this as a tool of learning how to get out there and date again and looking at relationships in a more objective way. And I had a ball. I had a ball. It was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal eye-opening experience for me.
Mhm.
So we're going to talk about that too. How social media, these dating apps, how they impact how we look at relationships moving forward. I think it's a great tool, but it's a tool.
Mhm.
That's
And
all it
that's
is.
it.
It's a
Right.
tool.
Right.
That's it. You know what I mean?
My sister
Um,
is a therapist.
is she?
Mhm. And she's tapped in a couple of times, and she's kind of said that same thing, like, it's not that she's playing with it, but it's just kind of showing the temperature of what's out there,
Yeah,
how to
yeah.
communicate, how to set boundaries, what those
That's right.
boundaries look like.
Yeah.
So yeah, social media and dating is fun
Social
to
media and
compare.
dating. And again, I'm married, so I haven't really tapped into that
Mhm.
avenue to really know what it looks like. But I was talking to a very close friend of mine, and she was saying that it looks like a bunch of scrolls. She said she just goes through them, just a bunch of scrolls, just nope, 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 yes, yep, nope, 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 yeah, and it's all based off of a picture.
Superficial, yeah.
It's very superficial, but again, you need to test your level of I don't even know how to express it. Uh, Start tapping into how to cultivate and look at relationships from an objective point of view
Mhm.
versus this heartfelt, oh,
Phys
he's so
and
cute,
physical,
and
yeah, the
physical.
physical.
Yeah, no,
You
give me the nerd. Give me the
you know,
nerd.
I mentioned to you earlier about you watch Love is Blind?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of the just watch that show, and then
I
I would
will.
love to have you back, and
Yeah.
I kind of want to dive into that with a
Yeah.
professional.
Yeah.
So that'll probably I want you to come back, and I want to talk about that show in particular, that one, and Married at First Sight.
Okay.
Um,
Love is blind and
yep,
married at first sight. I
yep.
will. I'll do a binge watching
Oh,
of it.
definitely binge watch this
Right.
last season, but let's move on.
Okay.
Well, listen,
Oh
this
God.
is one of my favorite parts of the show.
Okay.
Um, it's the Did You Know segment.
All right.
Every Hey YouTube, we're still here. We're talking to you too, cause I need y'all to listen, okay? So I do a Did You Know segment where I bring a random topic or something that has sparked my curiosity in
Mm,
between shows.
okay.
And it's off topic from what we have been discussing, but it's very important. There is a phenomenon going on right now, and it's called ghost jobs. So, ever heard of that, Skylar? Ghost
I
job?
have never heard of ghost jobs before.
Let me
What is
tell
that?
y'all what it is. It's referred to a listing or posting of jobs from employers that they have no intent of filling. These can include positions that they already have filled, or these could be some positions that they have intent to fill internally, but they still may place online like it is a open position. So kind of what sparked me to dive into this is um I've been hearing a lot of people on TikTok and YouTube talking about the job market and this whole ghost job thing. So I
Mm,
just kind of, did some research and stuff into it because I'm just really curious. Why would companies do that? And so some of the statistics that they're saying, and they use 2024 as an example.
mm-hmm.
One reason that companies post these jobs is to keep a steady pool of candidates in case a role opens up. And it's also companies use this as a strategy to help their business look more profitable. So if you're hiring, it shows more productivity from your company.
Wow.
Um, so the type of person I am is when I find this type of information out, I'm seeking a resolve. I'm seeking what can I do about it to help someone. So if you are in the job market and you have been looking for a while and you feel like you've been spinning your wheels, applications and things that you have been submitting that you know that you really kind of qualify for that position, um, it could be a ghost job. So one thing that you can do is if you find a job that's on one of the job posting websites, I'm not gonna name one because I don't want to identify
Makes
to
sense.
yeah. So but if you do see a job posted on one of those websites, go directly to the company website and kind of fact check. If you see it posted on the company website, definitely apply through the company website. It's still not going to change the fact whether it's a ghost job or not, but it will kind of help eliminate spinning your wheels so much.
Mm,
Taking you directly to the company site, they're pretty much going to have all of their internal and external jobs posted. Companies can post on these job websites free, and so that may be where we're getting this extra element of ghost jobs, but all of
mm-hmm.
this is still not proven yet. Is, I think, a new thing that people have just begun talking about. So if you are experiencing this, don't get frustrated. Visit your local employment agencies for their help as well. Stay encouraged, okay?
Yeah,
That's my little
yeah.
segment on that.
Love it.
Look, Skylar.
Hi there. There's my world builder. Oh my goodness. So I can't wait till you guys come over and see the building. It's awesome. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
we're gonna pop over there in just a minute.
Yeah.
But before we go, I wanna close out with what's next. I heard you talk a lot about the focus groups,
Yeah.
and yeah, tell us what you have next.
Yeah, yeah. So we're putting together a soft launch that's going to happen very soon. My wonderful builder Dunder did my worlds, and they're looking
Shout out to Donda.
phenomenal. And I actually have a an office where we can have one-on-one sessions. We can have small group gatherings, more intimate gatherings. We'll have events there where people can come in and learn about the service. That will probably start taking place, soft launches, in like in December, in the beginning of the year. I have a wonderful studio. Thank you, Amina. I have a
You're
wonderful
fine.
studio that I just am in love with. I am in love with it. It is one of the studios that I saw when I first came here, and I love it. I just put my own little touches on it, and it is a phenomenal space. I'll talk about that later. And I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of myself. I love the space that has been built. And again, Dunder helped me with that one as well. And it just speaks. They look like one big giant space together, but they are two different spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we doing next? My team and I are putting together right now a focus group to really understand what what we want done here in the metaverse. What do
Mm-hmm.
people want? What type of conversations do they want us to have? What kind of workshops are we going to put together? What topics do we want to really dive in first? And so it's going to be three tiered. One, we're going to come into the studio and we're going to have these open conversations. We're going to drop nuggets, and it's going to be more like a talk show teaching type of environment. Again, a small group, maybe 15 to 20 people. You just pop in if you want to. It's a talk show.
Mm-hmm.
The second level, where it's going to be private setting, we're going to have workshops, group shop. I'm sorry, workshops and group sessions of like-minded individuals who are willing to talk about their issues in a private setting, safe setting, and we're going to try to work through those issues as a group. Obviously, with my guidance and my team's guidance as we go through the process, um, that will be monetized. But because we're in the metaverse, I'm not paying for office space. I'm not paying for computers other than the one I already have in front of me. There's no travel time. We're here in the metaverse. So we can keep those costs down very low, very,
Mm-hmm.
very low. And but it is a service that we're going to provide here. Okay. Um, the next level is the one-on-one sessions where we need to really come together and talk, really have a session that's tailor-made for that individual, and we'll have ongoing long-term sessions, maybe 4 to 8, depending on how how difficult the issues are, and we want couples to come together to work on these
Mhm.
issues. So that's it. It's going to be challenging, but it's going to be a good challenge. I know that there are a lot of couples here already in the metaverse.
Mhm.
So let me back up a little bit. Those are the three tiers that we're looking at. It's the studio where we come out in the audience and you just learn. We talk about a topic. The second is the workshops and the group sessions that we have. They're closed private sessions. And then the third tier is going to be private one-on-one sessions. Okay. And if you need to go even further and come out of the metaverse and come into the real world where I need to see you, you need to see me, we need to build a bond and a connection. We can go that route as well. No one's doing it. That's not happening in here. And so
Mhm.
I'm excited to be able to be the first one to really bring it here to that level of coaching.
Mhm.
And I have a professional team behind me where we come together. If it's something that's beyond my level of expertise, I sit down with my team and I say, okay, these are the challenges that I'm dealing with. Give me your professional insight, and they'll give me some guidance.
Mhm.
And if it's something that's beyond my level of understanding or scope, I can definitely suggest that here I have a counselor here that might be able to help you with this matter. Okay, so it's full bodied. It's full bodied and it's growing, and we're putting all the pieces together. Yeah.
Amazing
Yeah,
stuff.
but you asked something and I want to be very clear. We are looking for participants to come in and sit in on our focus group, okay,
Mhm.
to help us understand what is it that you want, okay? And it's going to be different things. You know, you may want to learn how to date. You may want to learn how to communicate. You may want to learn how to become more intimate. You know, there are different types of focus groups that we're going to have. There may be age differences that we want to bring together. Okay. So this is going to be ongoing. Um, my website is up. Can I mention my website?
Please.
Okay. So you can contact me in different ways. One, you can go on my website, and that is www.divinerelationshipcounseling.com. Okay. There you'll see my Instagram, and you can DM me on my Instagram at Skylar underscore divine dot VR. DM me, just put in their focus group or you're interested in being a part of our focus group. There's going to be benefits to that because as we move forward and we start opening up these actual sessions, we're looking to have some promotions for people who have participated in the focus group. Okay. Um, And you can also email me. Okay. And you can email me if you have any issues that that you want to talk about. There's a free 15-minute consultation that I'll give you just to kind of understand where you are and how we can help. There's always a way that we can help. Okay. And like I said, you can DM me at on Instagram at Skylar, Skylar underscore divine, Divine .vr. Tell me if you're interested in the focus group, or tell me that hey, I really want to talk with you and talk to you about an issue that I'm having. I will be coming into my world. Just, feel free to pop in and let's sit down and have a conversation. In the worlds is different. There's no charge in the worlds because that's what I'm here for. This is
Mhm.
the best space for someone to come in and just have conversation. I can't wait to do that. I love to do that. If you want to email me, you can email me at Scholar Divine, one word, and the number one. So Scholar Divine, number one, at gmail.com. Okay.
And
And
send
we'll,
me all of that. And I'm
mhm.
gonna also add it in the bio of this video on
Okay, great,
YouTube. So
great.
please contact her
Hmm.
um for any counseling services inside and outside the metaverse. The
That's right.
metaverse is just a avenue that we use to run our businesses, but we also run our business in the real world too. So if
Yeah.
you are interested in connecting with her, please use those details. She's a
Yes.
great lady.
Yes, I would be happy to. And this is the other thing I want my metaverse family, because you guys are a family. I'm really going to focus a lot of my time here in the metaverse over the next 6 months. I really want to be able to solidify who I am in this space, and grow my my
Brand.
counselors, my
Mhm.
brand, yeah, in
Mhm.
in this space, because it's needed. It's needed
Mhm.
because
It
this is only
is.
going to get bigger. This is only going to get bigger. Oh, my world. Okay, so um, my office is at relationship coaching in the
Mhm.
metaverse. All right, and my studio is Meta Connect Studio. Meta Connect Studio. Now,
Mhm.
that's where we are right now. Yep.
Mhm.
And my information is in there as well. Skylar
Skylar
Divine.
has come in the metaverse and said she is about to do it.
I
Listen,
am.
Skylar, I'm so glad to have you here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us,
Thank you.
sharing your expertise. You're gonna do very well in this space.
I
And I
appreciate you.
also look forward to you moving to the city, conducting your business
Yeah,
here. But we'll
that's
talk about
right.
that later.
We'll talk
Ladies
about
and
that.
gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on YouTube. If you are interested in finding out anything that we discussed tonight, please reach out to us at primitiveshapes.ca about information regarding opening your business here in the city of Adam. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I work with a wonderful team, Primitive Shapes, led by Golden Hand CEO and teammate Dunder Bills, who's here tonight. They work very, very hard with putting this city together.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you are interested in finding out anything, please let us know. We also invite you in for a tour. You can tour with on your phone by downloading the Oculus MetaQuest app on your phone. Come in, let us show you around. So, we'll see you next week for a special Halloween episode. See you later.
Ooh, love it.
Okay. You did good, Skylar.
Ah!